Told you in 2007, but he is not hot yet. He's hitting just 169.
Yeah, it's amazing when you point your finger at this Philadelphia lineup. It gets going when that guy gets going, Jimmy Rollins. And so far, hitting at 169, he's not gotten going.
Chris Guccione behind home plate. Johnson has thrown 2 knee-high strikes.
The amazing thing about Jimmy Rollins is so much we've talked about the WBC, how it affected certain players. He was tremendous during the WBC. When he joined the Phillies, he was on an unbelievable tear and hit the ball extremely well. Had a great remainder of the spring. But once the season started, he started cold.
Last 3 years. Now, last year, he was injured. Sprained ankle, missed some time.
Yeah, baby.
Ross glowed. Johnson's there.
Let's take a look and see how the Marlins set up defensively tonight in the outfield. Hermida, Maven, and Cody Ross. Looking around the infield, you see Bonifacio at third and Ross Glode starting at first base tonight. John Baker handling Josh Johnson, and hopefully it'll be a day or two and Jorge Cantu will get his wrist back in shape and ready to go.
Shane Victorino for the Phillies. And Victorino pulls that ball to right. Cody's there. Two quick outs.
Number 22, second baseman Chase.
JJ likes those quick outs. Cody Ross, who we talk about often, look at how he glides after this ball, concentration, and then puts it away with ease.
Those words would not describe the Marlins and Chase Utley's relationship, because Utley, as he stands in, has always hit the fish and hit him hard. He has hit in 14 straight games versus the Marlins. And he comes in with a pretty good start. 4 homers, 12 RBIs.
Rich, the amazing thing about Utley, even a lot of Philly fans didn't think he'd be ready at the beginning of the season because of that off-season hip surgery. But he's playing full tilt, 100%. He's ready to go. Josh Johnson has thrown 8 pitches. They've all been strikes, and that one a good slider.
0-2. Not a bad start.
Stick around.
Josh Johnson goes 1-2-3 in the first.
Presentado por KFC.
High above Dolphin Stadium. A lot of dogs around here on Bark at the Park night. Marlins come plateward in this orderly fashion. Bonifacio, Baker, Ramirez, Glode in for Cantu, Ugla, Hermida, Ross, Maben, and JJ.
There, look at the numbers of Brett Myers starting his 4th game of the year. He's been nice and durable. All 3 of his previous starts, he's gone 6 or more innings.
Bonifacio runs up the bunt and takes outside, and it's 2-0. Phillies get their first look at the Marlins speedy leadoff man. Bonifacio faced the Phillies last year while in the National League. In fact, he was 2 for 4 against Myers. And Brett Myers has missed on all 3 pitches to Emilio Bonifacio.
And the amazing thing, I'm sure when they went over the scouting report of the Marlins hitters, they said, don't walk this guy.
He's not easy to walk. And Myers just did.
And you have a rookie catcher behind the plate, too, in Lou Marson.
Only Bonifacio's 3rd walk of the season.
See the defense, Ibanez, Victorino, and Jason Worth in that outfield. Pedro Feliz, a solid 3rd baseman. Rollins and Utley up the middle, Howard at first, and there's the youngster Lou Marson behind the plate.
Here's Baker now. This was one team that Baker tore up last year. He had 364 against the Phillies. Bonifacio, good lead. Baker takes down low.
We might mention that the reason the youngster's catching, Carlos Ruiz, their normal catcher, has an oblique injury. He's on the disabled list. So it's Marson and Chris Coast, the 2 catchers for Philadelphia.
Bonifacio is picked off. He was leaning and Myers got him.
Leaning a lot. Myers has an excellent move to first base. When you read scouting reports on this Philly right-hander, it's one of the things they always say. Quick move, flat out picked off, got a little bit too much, and Howard dropped the tag on his hand.
(1-0) to Baker. That's the first strike that Myers has thrown. Baker coming off a productive road trip. He had some big hits, especially in Washington. The Marlins, of course, won the first 6 games on the road. Myers misses in. And then 3 losses to a red-hot Pittsburgh team. The Pirates tonight are in San Diego to take on the Padres. It'll be interesting to see how Pittsburgh plays in this next week, because they look like world beaters to the Fish. But the Marlins come in sporting an 11-4 record. The Phillies at 6-8.
Yeah, the Phillies have been struggling. The Mets have lost 3 in a row to the St. Louis Cardinals. Mets tonight are at home. That's an interesting matchup. The Mets are at home to Washington. It's Scott Olsen against Johan Santana.
Yeah, you know, you almost look at it twice going, oh yeah, Olsen against the Mets. Baker into left field.
And he's still hitting the Philadelphia Phillies. Bake, one of the few hitters who stayed solid even on the past road trip, especially in Pittsburgh. But 8 hits on the road trip, had 6 RBIs, and just stroked that ball beautifully.
Now here is Hanley. The Marlins have some hitters in this lineup who have really hit Myers well. And they have some hitters in this lineup that have not. Hanley is one of the hitters that has hit him well. 360 with 2 homers in his career.
They also have a couple of hitters who really cooled off in Pittsburgh. Hanley being one, Dan Ugla another.
Big breaking ball for a strike. And strike 2. Brett Myers making start number 4. The long ball is something that Myers has struggled with this year, and the entire Phillies staff has struggled with. In 3 starts, 7 home runs given up. And the Phillies have given up a homer in each of their 14 games, which is a major league record.
Yeah, they lead the major leagues. They've allowed 31. We've talked a little bit about Brett Myers. You've seen the quick move to first base. He has good 90-mile-an-hour fastball, sinks it over the top, nice curveball. He'll throw cutters, occasionally a split, usually to left-handers.
Oh, 2 to Hanley. Baker's at first. Bonifacio walked and was picked off. One and 2.
Told you how Myers pitched against the Marlins last year. 1 and 3, ERA over 8. In his career, he's not pitched well in this ballpark either. 1 and 4, 6.59 ERA at Dolphin Stadium.
And an ERA of 5.5 in his career, all told, against the Fish. Big night at the ballpark.
Hey, is it politically correct to still call them a wiener dog? I don't know. Things change over the years.
I think you can go with that. I'm comfortable with that. We can make that our poll question this week. Hanley rolls it down the third base line, and it's foul. Usually, every year there's a dachshund that has a batting helmet. There they are.
Yeah, they made it again.
Oh, those are my favorites.
Yeah, they got the sweater. Looks like the sweater vest, which is always in fashion.
The one's got the catcher's look going. He's got the Johnny Bench look.
I love that.
Hanley steps out. If you just happened by, the Phillies and the Marlins just getting underway. And Hanley Ramirez watches strike 3 go by. The weather this weekend is absolutely perfect. So we hope to see you tomorrow night and on Sunday. 79 degrees.
You got no excuses for not being out here.
Miccosukee, come play our way. Here's Ross Glode. Jorge Cantu got a shot in his hand, a cortisone shot, and they're giving him at least another day.
Yeah, it kind of takes a day at least, couple of days after you get that cortisone shots to kind of ease things down, and hopefully he'll be fine. But Ross Glode is filled in nicely.
Glode hitting cleanup. There's Cantu. Marlins miss him, and he's a guy that really hurt the Phillies last year. Cantu last year, 366 with 6 homers against the Phils. But the last thing you want to do is rush a guy back before he's ready and have that injury linger. Glode up the middle into center field, base hit. Baker will turn second and get to third. The Marlins have a walk and 2 hits in this inning, but do not have a run.
Glode saw that curveball, that 12-6 curve. It's about ankle high by the time he hits it. But that's just an illustration of the kind of hitter Ross Glode is. Doesn't try to pull it, stays behind it, kept his hands behind the ball. Look, a little peek by Bake to see if he had enough room to get to third. So good hitting by Ross Glode. It's only his second at bat in his career against Brett Myers.
And now the curious case of Daniel Uggla, who stands in 0 for his last 21, but has had good swings during that stretch. That would not be a good swing. And it's out of play.
Well, I think sometimes when you're struggling the way he has, it's interesting. Only 6 strikeouts during that time. You would expect more, but he's hit some balls well. A day off does wonders. A change in weather does wonders, and facing a guy that you've had some success against does wonders.
And those are the career numbers against Brett Myers, who went fastball first pitch at Uggla. 0-1 breaking ball is low. Crowd still arriving. Two and one. You know, the funny thing about the road trip is Uggla had such a great start to it in Atlanta. Drove in 6 runs in Atlanta. And then all of a sudden the line drive started finding defenders. Or he would pull balls that were just foul. Guys would make diving and sliding catches.
I can picture Jack Wilson making a diving catch on a ball that Dan hit.
Jim Presley has just tried to stress with Uggla, just keep hitting it hard. And Uggla hangs in on a breaking ball. It's 2-2. It's the longest stretch in his career without a hit.
If he still keeps himself thinking, I know Jim Presley's talked to him about this, thinking up the middle, center of the field, hopefully it'll fall in place, and it will.
Time called. The Phillies play Uggla really to pull on the left side, and you can see Chase Utley way over. It's a huge hole on the right side. That's not where Uggla usually goes. And Myers runs the count full, 3-2.
Hey, the Marlins are making him work. That was his 26th pitch. Jeremy Hermida is in the on-deck circle. So, if anything, Myers has thrown a lot of pitches here in this first inning.
Breaking ball deep. Get out of here. 3-run shot. His name is Dan Uggla.
You think middle of the field, and you get that big curveball, and that's what happens. Way to break out of it, Daniel. And you just finished pointing out, Rich, there's that curveball, but if you're thinking up the middle, you stay back on it better. A beautiful swing. You just talked about all the home runs the Phillies starters have allowed. That's now 14 consecutive games a starter has allowed a home run.
Wow. Here's Hermida. So Uggla, his third, and a 3-0 start.
I'll tell you, early in the season, Rich, the Marlins have done a tremendous amount of 2-out hitting. And that's a huge base hit, especially after Bonifacio getting picked off, a couple of singles.
Hermida off of Myers, and a base hit for Jeremy. And the Phillies are out to check on Myers.
Well, they had to remove their talented left-hander, Cole Hamels, from the game yesterday. He was struck by a ball hit by Prince Fielder, struck on the shoulder. He feels he's going to be okay for his next start. So 2 days in a row, shots back at their pitchers. This ball stroked by Jeremy off his foot or ankle. And third baseman Pedro Feliz did not have a play. Hey, if they call that an error, I'm going to jump down and choke the guy keeping score for this game. There is no way in heck that is an error, which they've charged to Pedro Feliz. It's ridiculous.
Here's another look.
Absolutely ridiculous. First of all, the ball's spinning after it just struck the pitcher. He tries to pick it with the glove. And you got a guy who led the NL in fielding percentage last year. If he can't make that play, it's a base hit, and it should be.
I will bet you it'll be reviewed and reversed.
It shouldn't even have to be reviewed.
Here's Ross. The good news for the Fish.
Yeah, I'm going already here, and Dan Uggla just did a 3-run shot.
Here's some good news, though. This will calm you down.
Calm me down.
The two guys that have not hit Myers in the lineup are Hermida and Ross. And Hermida has a hit. He's now 2 for 15 against Myers.
But Cody Ross hit the Phillies.
Yeah.
He had a good year against the Phillies.
Which is amazing because he's 1 for 11 against Myers. That one is pulled down the third baseline. Now, I am assuming the hit for Hermida because I think that call will be changed. I think Herm's probably thinking the same thing you are.
Well, because we go to other ballparks and you see the way they keep score.
Myers misses outside, and it's 1-2. Dan Uggla, a 3-run homer. Ross, little tapper. Rollins, safe. Now Cody has a hit against Myers.
Well, he was reaching for this ball, so he got out of the box quickly. He may have gotten a little break. He was probably out by a half a step, but he went straight at the bag. Ran hard up the line. Dan Uggla said safe. Why not? But he probably got a break. Jimmy Rollins knows it too.
That's going to bring Maben up. Now Maben, in his very short big league career, has faced Myers 3 times and has 3 hits against him. And now the Phillies really have to be concerned because Myers' pitch count is approaching 40. This is his 37th pitch.
Boy, that's nice, too, to see the Marlins do this, come out of the gate this way in the first inning after the way things ended on that road trip in Pittsburgh.
$37 total. Change up and a strike. Maben takes one. And it's 2-2.
One of the things that Cameron's really working on, and believe me, it will improve, is, we've talked about it, the identification of pitches, and even more so with 2 strikes. Pitchers will try to expand the zone like that.
And down goes Maben, but the Marlins get on the board, and they do it in a big way. A 3-run shot, a 3-0 start. Jeremy Hermida.
Let the Marlins pay your mortgage payout. Each Super Saturday, one fan will be awarded with a check for up to $2,500 towards their mortgage or rent payment. Plus, on June 20th and September 26th, a lucky fan will win a check for up to $15,000. Log on to Marlins.com and register today for the Marlins mortgage payout.
That is Jeremy Hermida and Charlie. Dan Uggla, 3-run shot. King Charles. Charlie for short.
Here we go with the big shift. Like to see Dan Uggla way out there.
Ryan Howard, Jason Worth, and Raul Ibanez. Great contrast in starting pitchers so far as Howard swings and misses. Howard, one of the biggest and best RBI machines in all of baseball, and he sprays it over to Hanley away from the shift. 1 out.
Well, you talk about a machine on the mound. This ball hit hard as Hanley picks it. Josh Johnson has thrown 11 pitches. They've all been strikes. In the first inning, he threw 9 pitches, all strikes, and had a 1-2 inning. First 2 pitches to Howard were strikes.
Remember, as Tommy pointed out, he made just 1 start on the road trip. That was a game in Washington, and he didn't pitch well.
You know, the last time the Marlins had a 1-2-3 first inning was the first game in Atlanta.
Wow. Here's Jason Worth. Johnson, in that game against Washington, gave up 5 runs in the first inning. Austin Kearns hit a grand slam. But from that point on, Johnson gave up just 1 run and got through 6 innings. He saved the bullpen. He kept the game close, and the Marlins came back and won it 9-6. A great lesson for any young starter, and it's something that young starters struggle with, is if you give up runs early, don't fold. And he walks Jason Worth. It's something that Johnson and Chris Volstad are both blessed with, that ability to work themselves out of trouble and to stick it out.
Yeah, minimize the trouble when they get themselves in jams. And as you said, helping the bullpen by staying in that game and going 6 innings.
Here is the pride of Sunset High School, Raul Ibanez.
I thought that was Raul Stryker, pride of Sunset High School.
They are both from Sunset High School. This Raul, however, has had a very nice run in the big leagues. At times almost anonymously over the American League. Came up as a Seattle Mariner. He could never crack the starting lineup for then manager Lou Piniella. And he was finally dealt to Kansas City. And it was with Kansas City that he got a chance to play every day. That's where he blossomed. Then went back to Seattle and
continued to blossom.
Wow, his last 3 years, he's reeled off over 100 RBIs in all 3 years. Last year, 23 homers, 110 driven in. And he smacks it into left field, the base hit.
And he's that kind of hitter. He'll hit balls that way, then he'll turn on pitches.
He's a real different look than Pat Burrell, and he's taking Pat Burrell's spot.
And that's really the only change that the Phillies made from their World Championship season. Burrell, a free agent, signed with Tampa. They get the left-handed bat in Ibanez, but he hits lefties and righties both pretty well.
Here is Feliz. Pedro Feliz, known more for his glove than his bat, has been one of the hotter Phillies lately. This is his second year with the Phillies. He made a big improvement making just 8 errors last year.
Yeah, he really solidifies the defense in that infield. The Phillies playing good defense again this year. They've only made 3 errors so far this year.
One ball, one strike. Couple Phillies aboard. Philadelphia's lost 5 of their last 7. They dropped 2 of 3 to Milwaukee, including yesterday, nearly getting no hit by Dave Bush. Matt Stairs, a pinch hit homer in the 8th.
Yeah, 1 out in the 8th inning.
One, two coming. And it stays at 1 and 2. Of course, last year was unlike all but one in Phillies history. Their one world championship before last year was 1980, and then last year, number 2. And they did it with an incredible close at the end of the regular season, much like 2007. That just misses.
Yeah, they finished 13 and 3. Just missed. They went 13 and 3 while the Mets were going 7 and 10.
Two. Got him.
Well, he just missed with a slider, and then he came back with that good power fastball right on by Pedro Feliz.
Our Toyota trend, Josh Johnson. Marlins are 9 and 1 at home in Josh Johnson starts.
That's a good trend.
Yeah, the other trend is Johnson overall has won 9 of his last 10 decisions as Lou Marzin steps in. 22-year-old catcher out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Huh. Dial in 96.
Well, he was an Eastern League All-Star last year, but he didn't see that much last year. Pitches like that.
Oh, and 2.
97. He bumped it up a notch.
Phillies were so good offensively last year. They won the world title without a lot of production behind the plate or at third base. Carlos Ruiz.
Well, in a way, they're like the Marlins because they get it from the guys up the middle, Rollins and Utley.
Strained oblique for Ruiz. He makes a minor league start tomorrow. 0 and 2.
Remember that complete game that J.J. pitched against the Mets? He was throwing 96, 97 in the 9th inning, too.
One ball, 2 strikes. A walk to Worth and a single by Ibanez. Strike 3. Inning over. 98. in with Frank Fort. Frank?
All right, thanks very much, guys. Good to see Dan Uggla go deep in the first inning for a couple of reasons. One, it breaks him out of his slump. Two, breaking a little bit of an early trend for the Marlins. So far this season, and it was reflected on the 9-game road trip, the Marlins hit just .235 in innings 1 through 6 as a team. .303 from the 7th inning on. Of course, you remember the 3 victories in Washington, the 5-run inning in the 9th in Atlanta. So late, they're doing well. In what Stats Pass calls close and late, they're hitting .314 as a team. So the Marlins have done most of their damage in the late innings. So good to see Uggla going deep in the first. And by the way, guys, for the rest of the night, my life is going to the dogs.
Are you amongst them yet, or are you climbing up to the upper reaches to join them, Frank?
I am about to make the climb to the upper reaches.
Aha. The pitch to Johnson is a breaking ball. Frank, I got one more bit of news for you. It's a good thing they have a lock on the door down in the press box, because Tommy raced out of here and apparently was escorted out, kicking and screaming.
Now.
And they have changed that Hermida drive to a base hit.
So Ron Jernick pushed Hutton's buttons.
Yes.
Okay, and Tommy pushed back.
There it is. And rightfully so. By the way, the home run that Dan Uggla hit was his 4th home run in his career against Brett Myers, too.
Here's Bonifacio. You know, I give the official score credit, because as I thought would
Rich,
happen.
you're never going to get on him. You got to get on him. It should have been a hit from the first place.
At least he went back and he looked at it and he changed it.
Didn't even need to be reviewed.
I agree with you. You're right. Here's Bonifacio. Breaks his bat as he turns on that fastball.
He probably had a bunch of the press corps.
Got to him before you
got
did.
to him before I did. There's Ron. And we like Ron. I love Ron. I talk to him all the time. But every once in a while, you get the buttons pushed.
We don't want that, especially at Bark at the Park. Bonifacio walked and was picked off back in the first. He gets a piece of a breaking ball. It's 0-2. Well, Bonifacio went through the 0 for 19. And he's hit in 3 straight. He has 1 hit in each of those 3 games. So we'll see if in this weekend series against the Phillies he can get the bat going again. And I think for him, even more than getting the bat going, it's, as you noted with Cameron Maben, is just recognizing strikes.
And I think the last few days he's done better. But the scouting reports are out. A good pitch there.
Yeah, outside corner. Myers, who is approaching 50 pitches now, has 3 strikeouts.
He got off to a so-so start last year in May and June. He was 1-7 in those 2 months. But in August, he put it together and pitched much better for Charlie Manuel. Went 4-1 with a nice ERA.
Baker's pop-up is out of play.
I was looking at John Baker and the way he sprays the ball around. He has 13 hits. 9 are to left field. 3 to center and only 1 to right field. So you really shade him. And the Phillies are shading him in that fashion, not expecting him to pull a ball.
Baker gets a new bat. And he's back in there with a count 0-1. 2 outs, bottom of the second. Little dribbler. Rollins out. Not by much, but he was out. 1, 2, 3 go the fish in the second. Monday the 4th, head out to Blondie's and the Elbow Room in Fort Lauderdale. Tuesday the 5th, check out the Corona de Mayo bus at La Covacha y Rosa Mexicana in Miami. Corona, the official beer of the timeout. Relax responsibly. Look at you dancing around the booth. Here's Brett Myers with Jimmy Rollins and Shane Victorino to follow.
Some of those Cinco de Mayos I spent as a kid in Southern California. Trying to break the piñata.
Josh Johnson, a 9-pitch first inning. And this is pitch number 33 here to Myers. Boy, that's pretty good, especially against an opposing pitcher.
Wow.
That's right down the middle.
And you got a guy who's throwing nothing but strikes, too.
But we're all susceptible to missing one. I suspect anything close is strike 3.
Interesting year for Myers. He, during the regular season, only had 4 hits. He was 4 for 58. Then he had that game in the National League Championship Series against the Dodgers. He got 3 hits and had 3 RBIs.
And he has a
when he should have been called out on strikes. Got a little breaking ball that time. His bat speed wasn't going to catch up to the fastball, but I think JJ wanted to miss with it, maybe get him to chase that pitch.
Phillies have their second hit, and now the second time through, Rollins with Victorino on deck. Chopper, Bonifacio thought about second and gets the out at first.
Not a bad choice. You get the speedy guy off the bases. Even though Myers goes into scoring position, you don't have to worry about Rollins, even though Rollins doesn't have a stolen base yet this year. He thought about second, but got the out at first.
It's one of the nuances you would expect for a guy learning how to play third. A career middle infielder. Bonifacio so far has handled third base pretty well. The flying Hawaiian. Boy, did he have a postseason. He drove in 13 runs in the postseason. I chuckled a bit because in the notes, the Phillies notes, it notes that that is a Phillies all-time record for the postseason. There haven't been a whole lot of postseasons for the Phillies.
That he even won a Gold Glove last year. He did a little bit of everything.
Bonifacio on a spinner does a swan dive and makes the play.
One of those line drives, he loses his footing, but he keeps his balance and concentration to make the play. It's not hit all that hard because he's jammed. And as he initially goes after it, he loses his footing, but then sprawls out, kept the concentration, and made the play. He has really shown good instincts at third, too.
Now it's Utley, who struck out back in the first. Utley takes a fastball that misses in. Utley is one of the best at crowding the plate and grinding out an at-bat until he gets a pitch that he likes.
It's tough to miss inside to Utley and not hit him. I mean, he was hit 27 times last year.
For the past 3 years, he's been the starter at second base for the National League All-Star team.
That time he laid off. Remember the first time up, Josh threw him a couple of good sliders down and in that he chased. He chased strike 3. And he just identified that one a little bit better and laid off of it.
Brett Myers, a leadoff single. 2-1 misses, and now it's 3-1. Utley had 33 homers last year. Drove in 104. 4 consecutive years with 100 RBIs. And as Tommy noted, hip surgery, and there was some thought that he might not make it back in time for opening day.
I mean, the initial prognosis was sometime in May.
Change up, and it's 3-2.
And Chase Utley was probably the only one who thought he'd be ready opening day.
Ryan Howard is next. Josh Johnson. Utley hits a chopper. Ugla on to first, and JJ is through 3, allowing just 2 hits and hanging on to that 3-0 lead.
His name is Dan Ugla. Way to break out of it, Daniel.
One of the longer home runs we've seen hit here at Dolphin Stadium.
Got to that upper deck, got there in a hurry.
Now wait a minute. Which hot dog does that dog want? I guess that answers the question.
Yeah, he's following the aroma.
It's amazing how in this ballpark with all the microphones we have, they have such great sound up in the upper deck, hearing all those dogs
to pick
bark.
up the dogs. Yeah, it's incredible.
I think that that CD is available, and on it as well are the birds at Augusta. That's the next cut. All right, let's join Jeremy Hermida. Herbie?
You want to be there for Super Saturday tomorrow night. Watch as myself and the rest of the Marlins take on the Phillies at 7:10 p.m. There's a post-game concert with Albita and fireworks spectacular. Plus, fans get a Marlins rally flag courtesy of Badia Spices. Call 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com today. Marlins baseball. It's where you want to be.
Now that's poise under pressure. Hanley goes after a letter-high fastball. The Marlins have 5 hits against Brett Myers. Now, I know some ballparks are no longer doing distances on home runs. Do we have any idea on that one? Because
Rich, I think we're one of those parks.
did we not pay our membership dues? What happened?
Something to it, yeah. They didn't get the lasers aligned properly.
Because I want to know on that Uggla home run.
But you know we would have been disappointed.
Yeah, but it's part of the lore of any ballpark. I mean, this ballpark, for all its frailties and all of that, you still remember the Andres Galarraga home run.
I know, but I know what we can do. We can put in an early bid so that in the new ballpark we get those distances. How's that?
I'll go for that, but I still want to know how far Uggla's went. This is Uggla's home run. Watch where it hits. Right above the fin in Dolphin.
And that's upper deck in left center.
Right.
That's not down the line upper deck.
Which leads me to believe that that's got to be 450 or in that territory.
I would think so.
Utley makes the play on Hanley. Here comes Glode with Uggla to follow. Glode had a single. That was just before Uggla's homer. That was a marathon first inning for Philly starter Brett Myers.
And after that base hit by Cody Ross, he struck out Maben. He's retired 5 in a row now.
Phillies and Marlins for the first time this year. Only 17 more meetings. We talked about the Phillies' finish last year, winning 13 of their last 16. And they raced right through the postseason, losing just one game in each series. The Division Series, the League Championship Series, and the World Series. For the first time since they went to the Division Series format, a team went unbeaten at home. The Phillies were 7-0 at home. Three and two. Uggla will get some swings here in the third.
Well, the Marlins make their first visit to Citizens Bank the last week of May.
Ibanez makes the catch. Now in our production truck, one of the many things that they're doing tonight, they are trying to match dogs with players. So try to find a dog that looks like a certain player, or that maybe they might own. That is the dog for Uggla, a pug.
A pug. Yeah, a pugla. I would say a pug or a bulldog would be Dan Uggla.
Uggla now in his career against Myers has 4 home runs. And that's in 33 at bats.
Yeah, 4 home runs and 10 RBIs. Well, the Marlins trying to make the most out of this brief homestand. And it's back on the road. Only 13 of the first 35 games are at home.
It's amazing. I think he's got the green light here. 3-0. He just hit one about 460 feet. Down low. Myers stayed away. And up comes Hermida.
Number 27, Jeremy.
Our Geico quote from Uggla. Remember, he was 0 for 21 coming into that at bat back in the first. I've been feeling good. I hit some balls hard. It just happens that they haven't found the holes. That's baseball. You just have to keep swinging until you start finding holes.
Yeah, he's got the great mental approach. He doesn't get it too complicated. And sometimes that's the best approach.
Hermida pops it up. Felice over and makes the catch. So Myers has worked 2 scoreless since that long bomb.
Welcome back to Bark in the Park night, and we're here with
Angelique.
Angelique, and this is your second time at Bark in the Park with Jolie.
Jolie.
What is Jolie?
Jolie is a Rottie, a Rottweiler.
And named for?
Named for, she was named after Angelina Jolie. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I don't quite see the resemblance, but okay. What do you enjoy about Bark in the Park? Is this your second one?
This is my second one, mainly because of her. I like to take her out to events and just do something fun with her. She enjoys the drive down here and being around other dogs.
Other dogs, other people, good behavior?
Yep, good behaved people and dogs, yep.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you, Frank.
it. Enjoy the game.
Thanks.
All right, guys, back to you. We're up here at section 403, Bark in the Park.
Frank, are there any special vendors up there for the dogs?
I have not seen any. Are they selling any doggy treats up here?
I think they are. Donations, in the back.
Of course, it all benefits the Humane Society of both Broward County and Miami. Rich?
Nicely done. Josh Johnson back to work. Brian Howard, Jason Worth, Raul Ibanez for the Phillies in the fourth.
When Frank was told he'd be on the poop deck, he didn't think he'd have such nice interviews. Good slider.
Down goes Howard.
You bury this slider down and in. That was a pitch that Utley kind of stayed away from his last at bat. But that's a nasty pitch to any hitter, a right-hander or left-hander.
Here's Worth. Outside corner. At the knees. Boy, JJ has such a live fastball that when he locates it down in the zone, that's when it really takes off.
Got a little late cut to it. So often And I'll be the first to admit I'm as guilty as anybody. We forget to talk about the job that John Baker does, or Ronnie Paulino, whoever the catcher is, in handling, moving around, getting pitches just like that.
And he's starting to get that low strike. Pair of punch outs. Not a good night to be at the park if you're a Duck. With all the dogs around, Mike Schmidt holds the Phillies record for consecutive 20 homer seasons. Who's second?
That's a good question.
I don't think Utley and Howard have been around long enough.
I don't know how far back. Have to go back to
Luzinski?
Johnny Callison, or maybe even back into the 30s.
Was Home Run Baker a Philly? Of course, he probably didn't hit that many home runs.
That many.
He just got the nickname. That's like the pesky pole in Boston. I think he hooked maybe 2 or 3 around it. And he gets a pole named after him.
Sounds good.
Bonifacio is there, and he makes the catch. Josh Johnson, nicely done in the 4th. By Marooney. Hey, South Florida, when you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-Marooney. And by Checkers, little place, big taste.
What a great night. A lot of dogs up in the Bark in the Park section, and a lot of fans tonight. This is a nice crowd.
For the Marlins and the Phillies. And here is Cody Ross. And a strike from Myers. Ross had an infield single in the 1st. Myers scuffled in that 1st inning, but since then has righted himself. All right, what dog would Cody Ross own? Here's the 1-1. That's inside. By the way, just a quick bit of research shows that John Franklin Baker, Home Run Baker, did indeed play in Philadelphia, but it was with the Athletics. And he was the home run king before Babe Ruth. Of course, that he didn't put up Ruthian type numbers, though he was a terrific third baseman. Home Run Baker hit 11 homers in 1911, 10 homers in 12, 12 homers in 1913, and 9 in 1914.
In the dead ball era.
And each year he led the league in homers. Up the middle, Utley. So with that in mind, we summon the duck. Duck has his own entrance
Let me throw
music.
out one more name. How about Chuck Klein, perhaps? I'm going back. Now, that's what I said in the 30s.
Didn't have to go far from the University of Miami.
Pat Burrell. Hey, it was a nice gesture, by the way. Joe Madden, manager of Tampa. The Rays were in Boston, and he didn't miss a game, but he allowed Pat Burrell to fly to Philadelphia and be part of the ring ceremony.
Cameron Maben's going to get to run a little bit. Worth into the corner, and Maben will settle for a double. Our checkers double of the game.
It took me a while to figure out the arm flap, and I finally did. This is a nice bit of hitting by Cameron Maben. But you know who used to do that? Dusty Baker had the arm flap going.
Good call.
But Joe Madden allowed Pat Burrell to leave the team, fly to Philadelphia, and be a part of the ring ceremony with the Phillies that they had prior to their game. He then got on a plane, went back to Boston.
Josh Johnson lays down a ball
and was there in time. And Pat Burrell got a tremendous ovation from the fans at Citizens Bank Park.
Well, there's no question that Pat Burrell had a great run in Philadelphia. I think the Phillies, more than anything, wanted somebody that they could leave out there for 9 innings. Remember last year they used to replace Burrell almost automatically in the 7th inning. And he's probably at this stage in his career better suited in the American League where he can DH.
I'll tell you why that moving the runner over to third is important, especially with a guy like Bonifacio coming up. You don't necessarily have to sacrifice there because there are 2 down. But an infield base hit, a bunt base hit, a little bobble by an infielder, they don't get Bonifacio and the Marlins get a run. So it makes more sense, much more sense, with a guy like Bonifacio and his speed of the next hitter. So a nice bunt by JJ to get the job done.
Speed at home, speed at third. And Myers in a 3-0 hole. Well, he's walked him twice. And as we told you, he's not an easy guy to walk. Bonifacio had walked just twice all year. Here is John Baker. And that's the dog that they have selected for Baker.
It's like a husky. Bake is husky. What his teammates call him, the body. Loves to work out. Loves CrossFit training.
Well, he's kind of a mixed martial arts guy as well.
He loves all that
He's
stuff.
into that ultimate fighting type stuff. At the corners. Bonifacio at first, and a curveball, a strike to Baker.
He kind of brought it in and found that outside corner.
Myers figures he might want to go back over there and see if he can get himself another out.
I'm not so sure if he takes off, they'll even cover at second base.
Popped up down the line and out of reach.
Got a minute. Want to wish all the best to a good friend, Randy Root. Randy Root is getting married tomorrow. He's a great Marlins fan. And even on the night before his wedding, he might be watching tonight. So all the best to Randy.
Seriously?
Yes, he's getting married tomorrow.
Oh, you think the night before his wedding he's watching?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He might watch tomorrow.
I would not advise that. 0-2.
I think for sure if you're Bonifacio, you go here with the count 0-2. And it doesn't matter what kind of a jump you get. Rollins is way back, Utley's way back. Neither one of them is going to cover second base.
Bonifacio's running. Baker is watching. Strike 3 called. Inning over. Marlins leave a couple, but lead it 3-0. Grilled chicken. Stop in on Monday, April 27th. Get one piece of Kentucky grilled chicken for free. And of course, apparently they've already got the new grilled chicken.
Hey man, we got the new bucket.
Hey,
did you see that?
Yeah, it looks good. That looks good. Hey, we miss you guys when we're gone, you know?
We sure did.
We always miss you when you go on the road, Tommy and Rich.
Now, hold on. I got a question for you because we were talking about Sunset High School. And
absolutely.
You and Raul Ibanez.
Sunset Knights.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he graduated, I believe, in 1991, and I graduated in 1994.
He was certainly a big man on campus, I would expect.
The biggest, from what I remember. That was my freshman year, so when he was there. So I remember that he was the man on campus.
Yeah, but tell him the truth. You didn't want to sign. You just want to stay in school.
I just wanted chicken. That's all.
It's worked out okay.
It sure has.
All right,
Can't complain, guys.
Bueno.
Pedro Feliz swings, misses, ball gets away from Baker, and Feliz is aboard. That was an odd play.
You know, for a second, it almost sounded like you heard a foul tip, but that was probably the glove, the mitt of John Baker. He's mad at himself right now for not handling this. It got under him. He doesn't want that to happen. He might get a call from Tim Cousins on that. Ball got away. It was a good pitch to get Feliz to chase it. Tim Cousins, the Marlins roving catching instructor who spends so much time with all the catchers in spring training, spent time with John Baker in the offseason.
Lou Marzin now. There's a strike.
14 of 17 first pitch strikes by Josh Johnson today.
The difference in this ball game is a mammoth 3-run homer by Dan Uggla. Josh Johnson has been pretty steady. The Phillies got 2 runners aboard in the second. Oh-2. Wow. Baker acted like he didn't even see that ball.
Yeah, that one really got away from JJ. I don't think Bake had a chance on that one. Set up inside. Look how far he misses away. So missed the target by a lot. Quick chat. When you miss the target and you're throwing 97, tough to get to it.
It would be called a pass ball. So Feliz has been struck out and wild pitched to first. And on a pass ball, he's at second. And Marzin is rung up. We check in with Frank Ford. Frank?
All right, guys, Bark in the Park night. We're with Steven, and we have an infiltrator in our midst. This is a Red Sox leash. He's got a Red Sox scarf on, but Marlin shirt. Steven, who is this?
This is Poppy. Of course, you can figure out who he's named after.
Big Poppy.
Right. Yeah, I was going to name, my vet said name him Manny, but I figured in Miami that'd be too many Mannys to be.
And you don't want Manny being Manny.
And plus, look where Manny is now. Yeah. I'd have to ship this dog to L.A. Don't want to do that.
He's obviously a mix. Where'd you get him?
Well, actually, on the way home from work, I found this dog. He was full of hair. Looked like a beetle, actually. And I called him over, came right into the car, no chip and all that. And he's been with us since late last June.
First bark at the park for him?
First bark at the park.
And you?
Yes.
We hope you
I'm a dog too. Yes.
We hope you're enjoying it. Thanks a lot, Steve.
I'll tell you one thing. It's harder to watch the game with all the dogs here, though. But it's a great experience.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Back to you.
Here's the 2-0 pitch to Myers. It's a strike. Tommy, did you ever have a dog named after you?
No, not that I know of.
There's got to be. When you were a Philly, I'll bet you there.
Mutt?
I'll bet you there was a Hutton in Philadelphia. Johnson misses down.
Boy, this is it's an area that Myers got a hit off of him in the third. He's fallen behind 3-1. It's a big out. He needs to get Brett Myers right here.
Myers out to Uggla. And so with Feliz at third, now Rollins comes up. And here's where that wild pitch looms large. Could have been a very quick inning. Now, even though Rollins is ice cold, he's still a guy that is dangerous when it comes to the plate.
Well, and you just look at his career numbers coming into tonight against the Marlins. 298 lifetime against the Fish. 16 home runs. You also have a battle for John Baker now with a runner at third. We've seen a couple of pitches really get away from Josh Johnson here.
Popped him up. Rollins is a lot like Utley in that he's right on top of the plate. Jimmy, now 30. This is his 10th year with the Phillies.
2007 National League MVP.
Changeup is low. Ground ball glowed to JJ, no problem. Gets out of trouble in the 5th, cruising to the bottom of the 5th, 3-0, Fish. Long 3-0. Marlins on top, bottom of the 5th, rolls around. Brett Myers didn't look like he'd last long in the 1st, but here he is in the 5th. Hanley Ramirez, Ross Glode, and Dan Uggla.
Tell you what Brett Myers is doing, Rich. He's doing what Josh Johnson did in that game we were talking about when JJ gave up the early runs, but was able to manage 6 innings. And so Myers is doing that to save his bullpen.
He keeps picking at that outside corner on Hanley.
Yeah, in the 1st inning, he didn't have that kind of control.
Nope. Myers walked off thinking he had it. He has struck out 4, walked 3. Got Hanley looking in the 1st.
Well, he's been versatile. Remember, there was a year that Myers was their closer in 07.
And he's been a bit of a puzzle, too. I mean, last year, he started the year 3-9 with an ERA close to 6, and they sent him down. And he pitched in the minor leagues. And then came back and went 7-4 with an ERA at 3.20.
And you're talking about a guy last year, that was his 7th year in the major leagues.
Hanley hammers that ball. Center field. Deep. Off the top of the wall. And Hanley around second with a double.
I don't want to rush to judgment, but I want to see what Hanley was doing out of the box, because you assume he's going to be at third base. He's watching as he strolls to first. Hanley Ramirez should be at third base on that ball that hit in center field and carry him away from Victorino all the way there.
In a park that's made for triples, that was one.
Yes.
Ross Glode now against Myers. Glode looking for something he can pull. Instead, he hits a line shot to left. Ibanez reaches up, makes the catch, and Hanley has to scamper back to second. Ross Glode. And Ibanez made quite a play.
Boy, he does, and as a runner, you have two choices. You get a little bit off the bag, or if you go back and tag up, you're there to get to third. And if the ball drops and gets into that gap, you probably will score anyway. And even if you don't, there will be nobody out if the ball drops.
Here is Ugla. Yeah, this is really a tough call as a runner.
Yeah, you got to make the choice. He thinks it's over his head, but if you see that he's going to catch it, but you can't tell there, it's a tough position. The bottom line, he should have been at third base anyway and scored on a sac fly. Now he's trying to do it on his own,
and he's thrown out.
A bad base running inning for Hanley Ramirez. Because deep down, he knows he didn't go hard to first, and he knows he should have had a triple. So deep down, he's trying to do it on his own and get to third base. And he's nailed.
Out by a bunch. Here's Ugla. That's in. Ever since Ugla hit one in the upper deck, Myers has been very careful with him.
Remember, the ball he hit too was a breaking ball, and he hasn't come close since that time. He's shell-shocked.
Four walks for Myers. Ugla twice, Bonifacio twice. Here's Hermida. Myers misses in. The Hermida, according to our dog expert in the truck.
Kind of lean. Kind of looked like a beagle, but I don't think so.
Jeremy with a base hit in the first, popped out in the third. Had a good solid road trip, had a spectacular day in Washington with a 2-run homer to tie a ball game and a 3-run homer to win it.
Yeah, and it's interesting, on the road trip, Jeremy had 2 home runs and 6 RBIs, so all but one of the RBIs in that one game.
One and one. Ugla's at first. All 3 runs coming on Ugla's homer in the first. A Myers-Josh Johnson matchup tonight, tomorrow night, Chan-Ho Park and Chris Bolstad. Hermida into right field. Ugla is going to head for third, and he'll get there. And the corners. But the Marlins, of course, still without a run in this inning, which opened so promisingly.
Boy, the Marlins have had a double, a walk, and a single. Have not scored. They were able to get a huge 2-out home run from Dan Ugla in that first inning. They're in search of another big 2-out base hit.
Cody Ross. Ross in this ball game has an infield hit, and he's bounced out. Marlins now have 8 hits against Brett Myers. Myers already at 95 pitches. Sooner or later, the Phillies have got to get somebody up.
Well, we had mentioned, too, that in his previous 3 starts, he's gone 6 or more innings. But that 40 pitches in the first inning got that pitch count up in a hurry. Now, that phone has rung, I believe, in that bullpen, or it's about to if it hasn't. Yeah, I think it has.
Hermida and Uggla at the corners. That's high. Clay Condrey. That's going to bring Rich Doobie out to the mound.
A little bit of a stall tactic, probably, to allow Condrey to get loose and to try to talk Myers in just getting through this inning, because this is going to be his last inning.
Look at that.
And it's really amazing that he's gotten this far, and the Marlins have only scored those 3 runs that they got in the first inning. That shouldn't be the case, because the Marlins had huge opportunity here in this inning.
Left 2 in the first, left a runner in the third, left 2 more in the fourth. Maben doubled in the fourth, and he's up now. Our Hyundai Road ahead. Fox Sports Florida tomorrow night. Sun Sports. And remember, Sunday's game is an early one. On to New York. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
It's also a Jamie Moyer game for the Phillies. The Marlins have yet to name the starter for that Sunday game.
One and 0 to Maben.
Nice double his last time up.
And this is a great spot to be in if you're the number 8 hitter, to have the bases loaded. So you know he's not going to be pitching around. He's got to go right after him.
He's got to come at him with a fastball. He missed fastball, missed curveball.
Bases filled with Marlins. Maben breaks his bat. Rollins out. Just out. And the Marlins leave him loaded. To the 6th. This is why he's a Gold Glover. Johnson in this ballpark against this team right now, getting it done. And remember, the last time he was on this mound was his masterpiece in beating Santana and the Mets.
Yeah, 2-1 was the score in that game. So a nice out to get Victorino on one pitch.
Here is Utley. The HK patch that the Phillies are wearing for Harry Kalas, the Hall of Fame broadcaster who passed away about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we were talking about it in the opening of the telecast tonight, all the things over the last week and a half or so the Phillies have dealt with. They had their home opener. Then the next day they had their ring ceremony. They had a memorial service at Citizens Bank for Harry Kalas. Very emotional for all the players, everyone involved. So they've gone through a lot over this last 10 days.
Utley fights that fastball off. Maben is there, and he makes the catch. Jeremy Hermida has been reading our promos all night with a very special friend.
Fans, you want to be there for Family Sunday on April 26th when your Marlins battle the Phillies. With a special 12:10 start, kids get a Jorge Cantu t-shirt, courtesy of the Sun Sentinel. Plus, bring the family to the strike zone early for Family Sunday activities. Call 1-877-MARLINS or visit marlins.com. Marlins Baseball, it's where you want to be.
Good job, Herm. That's a good job tonight.
It's not easy to do that without holding a dog.
I mean, you have to do that and hold me up on occasion.
Now. Ryan Howard. Howard's 0 for 2. Well, Ryan Howard finally got paid in the offseason. He signed a 3-year, $54 million deal. That's Bonifacio. And that's Ross Globe picking it out of the dirt. And that's 1, 2, 3 for the Phillies. Emilio Bonifacio spun his wheels but stayed on it. Bark at the park going well so far. Brett Myers back out for the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, who would have thought that he'd be pitching here in the 6th inning?
Josh Johnson, then Bonifacio, then Baker. .103 pitches for Myers. He survived the 5th. Charlie Manuel trying to squeeze a few more outs out of his durable starter.
Well, as a youngster, he was an amateur boxer. And the Marlins had him on the ropes in the 1st inning, and he has survived.
Out of Jacksonville. I don't know that he's going to survive walking the pitcher.
No.
The leadoff inning. Condrey is ready in the bullpen.
Yeah, remember, he started warming up last inning.
And he's still throwing, which is an indication that at any moment, Charlie's going to go get Myers. The question is, when will that moment come? Couple walks and a strikeout. Bonifacio has dipped under 300 now after that incredible start. Oh, 2.
Yeah, he had that unbelievable. I believe he was like 14 for 29, just under 500. But since that time, he's gone 6 for 43. But the good news tonight, he's gotten on base a couple of times via the walk,
which is all the Marlins need.
Yes.
One and 2.
It's getting a little late. It's getting a little late.
Nope. Two and 2. 3-game series. Sunday is a 12-10 start. Three and 2.
Pretty good patience on those last 3 pitches from Emilio Bonifacio.
Baker waits. Got him. So Bonifacio goes down for the 2nd time on strikes. Up for debate. Who will lead the Marlins in wins in 2009? FSFloridaTV.com. This week's poll question. Here is Baker. Marlins back home. Of course, they opened the season in fine fashion in this ballpark. Sweep of the Nationals. 2 of 3 from the Mets. A sweep of the Braves on the road. A sweep of the Nationals on the road. And then they ran into the Pirates.
Well, as I mentioned right toward the end of the game, the final game in Pittsburgh, the Pirates outplayed the Marlins in that 3-game series. They ran well, stole some bases, they made some good defensive plays, got some key base hits.
One, two.
Ooh. He's had a few of those just miss.
Pretty good pitch.
That's close, yeah.
Myers is up to 119 pitches.
Are you surprised he's still in there?
Baker gets a curveball. Utley to Rollins. Brett Myers, workhorse that he is, gets through the 6th, and it's still 3-0. Watch where this lands. Up top. The Frostbrewed Coors Light Freeze Cam.
Boy, that's fun to watch. I can watch that 100 times. Well, Josh was on the bases that entire inning. Remember, he led that inning off with a walk.
Nothing says baseball like fat men dancing.
I think the Manatees are getting better, though.
At what? Girth? Rhymes with worth. One and one.
Well, JJ still pouring in that good fastball, mid-90s.
Johnson at 84 pitches.
Of course, the Phillies had that game yesterday that Dave Bush, 7 2/3, gave up just 2 hits and the 1 run, the pinch hit home run by Matt Stairs.
Yeah, they had to wind Stairs up, run him out there. And he hit one off the foul pole.
Yeah, hanging slider.
Johnson misses outside. The attendance tonight, 29,032.
Very nice.
And 1,540 dogs. 1,500 dogs? That's amazing.
I think that's our largest ever dog count for Bark at the Park.
That's outstanding. Let's rejoin Jeremy Hermida.
Hey Fish fans, you can become a 2009 season ticket holder and enjoy the best benefits in the majors. Choose from a variety of plans starting at just $85. Don't miss Super Saturdays, the Yankees, the Cubs, and much more. Become a season ticket holder today. Call 1-877-MARLINS. Marlins Baseball. It's where you want to be.
Now, Herm looks so good doing that, so calm. There are a few outtakes. And we'll have those for you a little bit later on. Worth is at first. Ibanez is at the plate.
Yeah, that DVD will be made available, I believe. You know, Worth's the only guy that JJ's walked. He has 2 walks in this one, and each time it's been Worth. Once in the 2nd, once here in the 7th.
You know, for every big leaguer, there's a moment where all of a sudden it kind of clicks for him. And for Ibanez, it was when he was with Kansas City. When he first got there, and it was his first chance to play every day, he struggled mightily. Kevin Seitzer was the roving hitting instructor in their organization, and he spent a couple of long sessions with Ibanez. And Seitzer, who came up as a Royal, had a lot of the same principles.
A couple of 200-hit seasons, Kevin Seitzer.
A lot of the same principles as George Brett, Charlie Lau, of course, the old Royals hitting coach. And the emphasis was you don't have to pull everything. And from that point forward, Ibanez has been a terrific major league player, and he's, from that point forward, had great gap power.
Last 4 years, he's averaged 24 home runs, 107 RBIs.
And he hits that one in the gap. But Hermida is over, and he makes the catch.
Unbelievably, Rich, with those numbers and the kind of career he's had, he's never been an all-star.
That's hard to believe. But like I said, at times he's kind of done it anonymously in the American League.
Reniel Pinto getting loose as that pitch count has just gone over 92 pitches now for JJ.
Pedro Feliz.
Anxious to talk to John Baker tomorrow, because it looks like it's been a battle for him. Josh has had such good stuff and movement. It's not been an easy night to handle, the big right-hander.
Lined hard, Hermida got there. Good break by Jeremy.
Remember all the talk in spring training, and I would say about the first week, Jeremy had some struggles, some balls lost in the sun, and there was so much worry of his adjustment into left field. He's been just fine.
Phillies catcher Lou Marzin. Both of his strikeouts looking.
Phillies have some pretty good bats on the bench. You mentioned Matt Stairs. Greg Dobbs is on deck right now. And they've hit 3 pinch hit home runs this year.
Greg Dobbs was the best pinch hitter in baseball last year.
So you'd like to get Marson, the young catcher, right here, and not have to deal with Dobbs until the next inning.
Going to have to face Dobbs. Marson with a base hit. That's the first hit since the 3rd inning. There's his pitch count. He threw 113 in the win, the complete game win over the Mets.
Yeah, Dobbs with a couple of pinch hit home runs last year, 16 pinch hit RBIs.
Mark Wiley out. In front of close to 30,000 tonight here at Dolphin Stadium. A Dan Uggla home run is the difference. A 3-run shot in the first. Josh Johnson, an outstanding start so far. He's got 2 outs, and he's got a guy that has a bit of a history against him. Dobbs is 2 for 3 with a home run against Johnson.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's not a long history, but it stands out. It's a pretty good one.
Drops in a strike. That just missed.
Tell you what, Chris Guccione's been pretty consistent. There have been a number of pitches that Myers threw in that same area, the outer part of the plate, that just missed. He's been consistent with that call all night.
Two and one. Couple Phillies on. 2-1 coming. And it's 2-2. It's quite a combination with Dobbs and Stairs, because Stairs as a pinch hitter is the active leader in pinch hit homers, and then Dobbs has had such a terrific year last year.
Yeah, a couple of good left-handed bats. They have a good bench. Eric Bruntlett, utility player, plays a lot of positions.
2-2. Yes! Josh Johnson strikes out Greg Dobbs. And JJ is through 7. big strikeout of Greg Dobbs. 8 strikeouts in this ball game. He's at 102 pitches. Now, throughout the night, you've seen Jeremy Hermida bringing you our promos. He looks so good doing it. Well, this is television.
Can you hear the whining? Can you hear that?
Hey, come on. You all right? I'm so sorry, buddy. So sorry, buddy.
You want to come walk for a second?
Here, hold on. Right, dude? Come on.
That's great.
That's outstanding.
Well, Clay Condrey does come in. We've seen him warming up for the last couple of innings. Good guy out of that bullpen. 4 pitches. Features them all.
He's got Hanley Ramirez, Ross Glode, and Dan Uggla. Hanley hit a ball 420, maybe 430 feet in the 5th inning, and he thought it was out as he kind of broke into his home run jog down to first. The problem was it wasn't out. It hit the top of the wall in left center, and Hanley got a double out of it. And things just got worse from there.
Because the next batter, Ross Glode, hit a deep fly ball to left center that would have scored Hanley easily had he been at third.
And then Hanley tried to steal third, and he was caught stealing. And it's a high pop-up. Howard, this is not an easy play, especially for Howard, who struggles with the glove, but he makes it. Here's our game summary.
Well, we're going to show you one swing. That's been the scoring. A 3-run upper deck shot by Dan Uggla, his 4th career home run off Brett Myers. The rest of the story has been Josh Johnson. He has been superb. Sliders down and in. That one got Utley. High fastballs. Fastballs that he spotted on the outer part of the plate. He's had it all going. He's been aggressive, and he's gone right after this Philly lineup, which is a very good lineup.
Here's Glode. That Uggla home run came with 2 outs in the 1st inning. Bonifacio was picked off first. Hanley had struck out. Baker and Glode had the base hits. And then Uggla unloaded. After that swing by Uggla, I don't think he saw a strike from that point forward, because Myers walked him twice. Leo Nunez getting ready, and that would be an indication that he's coming in the 8th. Almost got him. 2-2. Tommy Hutton a few days ago from the press box in Pittsburgh, where it was 39 degrees. 2-2 pitch. Roller. Condrey. Tommy challenging South Florida baseball fans to come on out this weekend, and they've responded. Close to 30,000 here.
This has been terrific. You couldn't ask for a more gorgeous night as far as weather, and to see the crowd coming in. Over 1,500 dogs for Bark at the Park, and just under 30,000 here at the game tonight. So that's a good crowd. And nice going, fans.
And yeah, well, they're just listening to you. Tomorrow night is Super Saturday, the Marlins and the Phillies. And remember, Sunday's game is a noon start.
Think we can do a little bit better tomorrow night, maybe.
I expect so. Here's Uggla. Now he might finally get something to hit after that home run. Changeup, and a good one. Brett Myers went 6 innings through 119 pitches. Walked 6, struck out 5. But give the right-hander from Jacksonville a lot of credit because he's got back up on the mound and he gave his ball club 6 innings.
He got back up off the canvas
after throwing 40 pitches in the first inning. Do we really have to see that?
Mr. Mantastic.
You know, the worst part of that is we're in high definition, and now people are posing with that. That's a strike. Available for birthdays, anniversaries, and bar mitzvahs. Ugla hits another one out into left center field. Victorino runs it down. And Clay Condrey works a 1-2-3 7th. On to the 8th. Of the day brought to you by Just for Man Hair Color. Marlin hold leaders. They're hoping that Leo Nunez can add 1 to his totals as his middle relievers keep their team in the game. You two can stay in the game with Just for Men Hair Color.
Great night. Bark at the Park. We measured over 1,500 dogs. A new record.
You know, I know it's television speak, but the bark sync was off on that.
Just a little bit.
Just sequence. There's Jimmy Rollins.
Well, Leo Nunez gets the top of the order, so he has his work cut out for him with that good fastball, change, and slider. Good numbers.
Rollins, Victorino, Utley.
I'll tell you another reason it's a tough assignment coming in, because if you're the Phillies, you're just happy to see Josh Johnson gone. And he had to work tonight. I think a good decision. Long season. You don't want him going 115 pitches every game. He did his job. He was outstanding.
8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 101 pitches, and Rollins gets himself out.
Yeah, there's a nasty changeup. Oh, there was some good pitches to Jimmy Rollins. Pitch by pitch. Gets him with a strike. That's a good way to start. Another one. Watch his changeup. This last one gets him to chase. See, a lot of Phillies haven't seen Leo Nunez. So they may be checking in with Raul Ibanez to get a quick scouting report.
You know, the funny thing was, as Victorino stands in, we had discussed the other day about the first time we both saw Nunez. He reminded us of a reliever named Juan Cruz. I turned on the Royals game the other day, and there's Juan Cruz pitching for the Royals, looking like Nunez, of course, who pitched for the Royals last year.
And Royals fans are saying, this guy looks just like Leo Nunez. 2 quick outs, 2 nice ones. And you notice the velocity on that first pitch to Victorino, 97. And I think that surprises a lot of hitters when they look out and see Leo Nunez.
You can measure any bullpen by different standards. Most look at the back end of the bullpen and saves and save opportunities. And certainly the Phillies are a good example of that with Brad Lidge, who was perfect last year. But many times your bullpen is only as good as your 8th inning guy. I mean, go ask the Mets that. That was a real struggle for them last year. And if Nunez can lock down the 8th, that certainly would bode well for the Fish.
See, now the Mets have addressed that, but they have other issues this year. They're having starting pitching problems. Not tonight, though, because Johan Santana is going for them. But last night, Livan Hernandez, 9 hits and 7 runs in 4 1/3 innings in St. Louis.
(3-1) Mets over Washington right now. That's in the 8th.
So that tells me that Scott Olsen is pitching well, too.
Boy, Utley missed that by a bunch. That good circle changeup.
Yeah,
the Phillies.
Now you see it, now you don't.
Phillies pen last year. That's a huge difference between the Phillies and the Mets. As good as the Phillies pen was with their middle guys as well, the Tom Gordons, the Ryan Madsons, the J.C. Romeros, those guys all had terrific years too. Leo Nunez, 1-2-3 in the 8th. Now that would be locking down the 8th inning. Johnson went the first 7. Nunez a 1-2-3 8th. And the Marlins go to work in the bottom of the 8th trying to add an insurance run against Clay Condrey, Hermida, Ross, Maben.
Well, with the stretch of 24 consecutive scoreless innings, remember the Marlins bullpen put together, they're 5th in the major leagues, the Marlins bullpen, in ERA.
Here's the 1-0. Down low. Let's go down below to Frank Fort. Frank?
All right, Josh Johnson, 7 very strong innings This is a team that's very dangerous with those left-handed hitters. How did you deal with those guys tonight?
Just mixed on them. Didn't stay in one place for too long, and just kind of went back and forth on both sides of the plate and used all three of my pitches.
You were a little bit over 100. Did you still have some gas left?
Yeah, I did. It was probably the most gassed I've been so far this year, but had a little bit left in there.
Dan Uggla got you on the board early with the 3-run homer. How much does that help walking out there in the second inning with a 3-0 lead?
Huge, because I mean, this in Pittsburgh. Well, actually, almost the whole road trip, probably about half the road trip, we were down after the first inning. So I mean, we had to come out there, and that's what I kept saying to myself, was just have a good first inning, and then we'll just go from there. And did that, and got me on the board. So it was good for us.
Congratulations on a great outing.
Thank you.
Josh Johnson, great outing tonight, guys. 8 strikeouts, just over 100 pitches. Hopefully the bullpen can close it out. Back to you, Rich.
All right, good hustle down there, Frank.
Yeah, good job. Good answers, too, by J.J. as Matt Lindstrom gets ready. Mentioning that low ERA, the Philly bullpen, 12th in the National League. They're at 5.04. So an early difference in these two clubs so far, the bullpens.
Cody Ross is 1 for 2. Marlins and Phillies here. The Braves are in Cincinnati and lead 3-2 in the 7th. The Mets have a 3-1 lead at home over Washington.
Couple of good starting pitchers in that game in Cincinnati. I don't know if they're still in there, but Vasquez and Volquez.
This has become a very good rivalry. The Marlins and the Phillies, one of baseball's best rivalries. Cubs and Cardinals. And the Cardinals have put 3 on the board in the bottom of the 5th and lead the Cubs 3-0.
A lot of rivalries going on tonight. Of course, the Yankees are in Boston.
2-2 in the 7th. A couple of overachievers meet tonight in San Diego. The Pirates and the Padres. Both are 9-6. Cody's got a 2-1 pitch to look at. Hits it hard. Utley, Rollins. They're very good up the middle.
Boy, that's frustrating because Cody Ross had a great approach and a good swing and hit the ball as hard as you can hit it. He's thinking, trying to go in that hole, trying to go the other way, and hit a bullet to Chase Utley.
On Marlins Live, our postgame offerings to you. Jeff Conine returns. Dan Uggla will visit, and we'll preview the rest of the series. Cameron Maben. He is 1 for 3. Drops down a bunt. Marzen has it and throws him out. And the Marlins go quickly in the 8th. Matt Lindstrom comes on and tries to close this ball game and make that Uggla home run stand up. Jaguar Performer of the Game, Josh Johnson.
Well, JJ, with his 7 shutout innings, giving up just 3 hits and 8 strikeouts, has lowered his ERA on the season now to 2.20.
Check out the new R Performance vehicles at your local Jaguar dealer on JaguarUSA.com. 3-0 Marlins on top. Over 29,000 on hand. And you can count Brett Carroll in as well as he comes in defensively in left field. And here is Lindstrom with an opportunity to close. Hasn't had a lot of opportunities, but he comes in the 9th. Howard, Worth, Ibanez. The Marlins are hoping that this is an occurrence that will happen a few more times against the Phillies, and that's Lindstrom facing these big power bats with a lead in the 9th. Way out there in right field, Uggla makes the play.
How many times, Rich, have we seen the shift and we've seen balls go everywhere? That's one of the first times I think I've seen a ball actually hit to Dan Uggla, who's all the way here. He's just perfectly positioned. He gets this shot hit by Howard. He's on the grass. He scoops it up, has a little longer throw than usual, and gets in.
So there's one down here in the 9th. Jason Worth. Jason Worth. Left field. Deep. Carroll looks up. Off the wall it goes. Maben has it. A ball that certainly would have been out in Philadelphia.
Well, and the Marlins could say that about that one Hanley hit too, probably. Boy, he gets extended. Jason Worth is a big guy, and when he gets extended, look at how that swing is short and to the point, and he hit that well.
So it's a double. And here is Ibanez. Lindstrom at 99 miles an hour misses inside, and it's 1-0. Getting a closer like Lindstrom ready, and I mean ready to save back-to-back games, coming off his injury in spring training, has not been an easy thing, because it's like almost like a expensive sports car. You have to run it to make it run well, but if you run it too much, then it doesn't run as well. And you got to figure out a way to get him work, arm strength up, and yet not tax him at the same time.
And you got to go after these guys, because if you put somebody on, all of a sudden the tying run comes to the plate.
The Marlins, of course, in Pittsburgh for a cold series, and were never in a position where they needed a save. There's Burke Badenhop.
He's just getting some work in.
I mean, Lindstrom's last appearance was in Washington on Sunday.
A long time in between for a guy who isn't as sharp yet at this point of the season.
Oh, and here you knew that Charlie Manuel had a couple of really good pinch hitting bats from the left side at his disposal. We saw Dobbs strike out to finish the 7th. Well, here comes Matt Stairs.
Well, Matt Stairs, we mentioned the Phillies as a team with 3 pinch hit home runs. Stairs has 2 of them, and one of those came yesterday to break up that no-hitter and the shutout that Dave Bush had going with Milwaukee.
I don't know that Matt Stairs has given away too many at-bats in his long career. He has always been a guy that swings from his heels. And when he runs into one, he can knock it a long ways.
He has over 250 home runs. I mean, many people forget he spent some time in the American League DHing. He had a big year with Oakland in '99. He had 38 home runs.
This is his 11th Major League team. He's not missing by much, but he's missing, and it's 2-0. Stairs broke up the no-hitter yesterday. That's a strike. Matt Lindstrom has an out. He needs 2 more.
He's thrown 11 pitches, but only 4 for strikes.
Ibanez and Worth. 2-1 to Stairs. He has a swing right out of the beer leagues.
Out of St. John's, New Brunswick. That would be Labatt's beer league.
Two. Hit sharply into right field, a base hit. Ross over for it. It's going to score Worth. And it sends Ibanez to third, and Matt Stairs delivers again.
Right now, Matt Stairs has been their biggest offensive weapon the last couple of days. You can't sneak the cheese by Matt Stairs. He might swing and miss one of them, but if you don't get it in the right spot, he'll turn on it. And he turned on that one and got it by Ross Gload quickly. That'll bring out a pinch runner, Miguel Cairo.
Cairo will pinch run. Lou Marzin is going to come to the plate. So the Phillies have fired their best pinch hitting bullets, Dobbs and Stairs. It's 3-1. Marzin singled in the 7th.
And you can't worry too much about Ibanez at third base. He's the second run. The big run is Cairo over first base. He's the tying run.
Phillies were baseball's best team, have been baseball's best team the last couple of seasons in stolen base percentage. Lindstrom falls behind 2-0. Got a 22-year-old catcher at the plate with the game in the balance. And Matt Lindstrom can't find the strike zone. It is 3-0. Eric Bruntlett is on deck.
And a walk obviously moves the tying run to scoring position to a 22-year-old inexperienced catcher.
That would be a strike. 3-1.
He's had 3 straight 2-0 counts to Philly hitters.
Yeah, baby. Come on,
3-1 to Marzin. Cairo's at first. In the dirt. It rolls from Baker, but not far enough for Ibanez to score. But the situation
And now you get a little more experience. You get Eric Bruntlett coming up. And after Bruntlett, you're back to the top of the order to Jimmy Rollins.
Yeah, things getting tighter and tighter. Mark Wiley is on his way out, and Renault Pinto is up in the bullpen.
You brought up a good point, Rich, about getting a closer ready. And trust me, I can't believe I haven't thought of this before. There may be people watching who have wondered why. If, in fact, you feel 10 days ago that Matt Lindstrom wasn't ready, Leo Nunez was ready. So why not use Lindstrom in the 7th and 8th inning to get him ready? Use Nunez for a week or so as the closer. Then once things get into action and Lindstrom's throwing good, then you have him as your closer.
Of course, the Marlins got off to an 11-1 start.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Lindstrom is in deep now. Bags loaded. Bruntlett takes a breaking ball for a strike.
The last thing he was thinking about was a breaking ball on the first pitch.
Let's see if he throws another one. Fastball, and quickly it's 0-2. Ibanez, Cairo, Marzen. Jimmy Rollins is on deck. 0-2.
Bruntlett, a very versatile player. He started at many positions last year for Charlie Manuel. And good numbers in his career as a pinch hitter.
And it was Bruntlett that had to start at shortstop when Rollins was out with his ankle injury. Another 0-2 coming. There's the breaking ball. Matt Lindstrom trying to shut the door. Already he's thrown 22 pitches. Lindstrom. 0-2. Yes! Got him!
I think when you see Matt Lindstrom and he starts to get at his best, he's not going to have to just throw fastballs. And this was a good example. He made some good breaking pitches to Bruntlett, and that just absolutely froze him.
Still, Jimmy Rollins is at the plate. Wow. 1-0.
Threw that breaking ball again, and it looked like a pretty good one.
An ice-cold start for Rollins. Which might be scarier than a normal Rollins, because you know, with his history, he's due to bust out. The 2-0. Rollins went after it and pops it up, and it's out of play. And that was a high fastball that might not have been a strike.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You get a guy who's a career almost 280 hitter. Right now hitting at 159. There's that high fastball.
And he's gone 3-1 on Jimmy Rollins. Ibanez is at third. The tying run, Cairo at second. Marzen is the go-ahead. And Victorino is waiting. 3-1 is low. It's 3-2. The lead is down to 1. Ibanez is across, and now with a struggling closer on the mound, and Renaud Pinto in the bullpen. Freddie Gonzalez takes a look at the lineup card, and it's Victorino.
They got Victorino as a switch hitter, and then lefties Utley and Howard to follow.
So it looks like Victorino is Lindstrom's. If he doesn't get Victorino out, Pinto for Utley. First pitch is in, and it's 1-0.
He just can't throw that fastball for a strike. And you mentioned about all those RBIs, 13 RBIs Victorino had in postseason, so he got a lot of clutch hits for the Phillies last year.
Lindstrom. That is a strike. Victorino nearly stuck his leg over the plate at that one.
30 pitches. Look at how he's right on top of the plate.
Good job by Chris Guccione. Now the 1-1. Baker knocks it down. But if you're Victorino, you're sitting on a fastball. With the bags loaded and a 2-1 count in a 1-run game. Drive to right and deep. Ross is back. It's gone. A grand slam. The flying Hawaiian puts the Phillies on top.
An absolute shame for Josh Johnson and the way he pitched. Of those 13 RBIs in postseason, 4 came on a grand slam. He knew he was going to get the fastball out over the plate. Victorino took care of the rest. A deflating blow.
Utley. Six, 3. The Phillies have scored 6 times here in the 9th. One and one. Change up for a strike. It's 1-2.
Wake up, baby!
2-2. A 3-0 lead going into this inning. And it has evaporated.
And the Phillies get their big guy ready, Brad Lidge.
Lidge, who's off to a bit of a rough start, had the incredible season last year where he did not blow a save. ball is deep. That ball is gone. (7-3). Freddie has to go get him. Matt Lindstrom is knocked out of this ball game. It is 7-3. Here's our Marooney called to the bullpen.
When you need a car, truck or van.
Easy one, and Matt Lindstrom finding that out. 7 runs in the 9th inning. Here is Pinto.
And when you're in a situation, Rich, which Matt Lindstrom is, to try to establish himself this year as the closer, there's a lot of questions. People are always wondering, can he close? It's a monumental inning to try to come back from now the rest of the year. He's going to have plenty of time, but it isn't going to be easy.
Ryan Howard unloads left center and deep. That's off the scoreboard, and Howard's got himself a double. Well, the Phillies received their wake-up call after nearly getting no hit yesterday and shut out for 8 innings tonight. They have erupted. Here is Jason Worth. Yeah, Victorino's grand slam is the big blow, and Utley followed with a home run. But when the Marlins and Matt Lindstrom look back at that 9th inning,
you can't walk Lou Marson.
No. Even ice cold Jimmy Rollins. Also walked Ibanez. A pinch hit from Stairs. Then Victorino got a 2-1 fastball. And I think, too, the lesson in the inning is if your bread and butter is the fastball, you can't afford to fall behind guys like Victorino and Rollins and Utley. 2-0, 2-1.
Yeah, these guys can hit fastballs, especially when they know it's coming.
Baker knocks it down, and it's 3-2. Marlins in command throughout the night and had opportunities to add to a 3-0 lead all night long. And I touched upon it about 2 innings ago. You have to give an awful lot of credit to Brett Myers, who gave up the 3 runs in the first, but then battled through 6 innings for the Phillies. Did he go? No swing.
Yeah, and I think well, I thought about this yesterday. If the series in Pittsburgh wasn't a wake-up call that anybody can beat you at any time, then scoring 3 runs early against this Philadelphia club, this should be a wake-up call. When you have opportunities, you have to continue to push hard, play hard, and score as many runs as you can, because these guys aren't going to roll over.
Ibanez. Now Pinto's all over the place.
Twelfth man to bat in this inning.
You know, in a way, the sweep at the hands of the Pirates has affected this game, because Matt Lindstrom worked on Sunday in Washington. He did not work in any of those games in which the Pirates led from the outset. And here on a Friday night, he falters. Adding to the agony is the fact that Pinto is struggling against a guy that can hit it a long ways.
And I think agony is putting it mildly.
Down goes Ibanez. Inning over, but the Phillies have made a big statement. Shane Victorino with a grand slam. Utley follows it up, and it's 7-3. Geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Tobacco Free Florida. For more information, visit us online at tobaccofreeflorida.com. By Quikrete. For affordable home improvement projects, visit Quikrete.com. Quikrete, it's what America's made of. And by Honda South Florida. Visit your South Florida Honda dealers online at sfhondadealers.com to find a deal on fuel-efficient Hondas. 7-3. Shane Victorino's grand slam, the big blow. And no closer here. Coffee's for closers. This is Ryan Madsen.
Yeah, once it got out of that closing situation, Ryan Madsen got loose. Lidge sat down. Big part last year Madsen was in the World Championship of the Phillies. He was 4-2 out of the bullpen, 76 appearances. Very versatile guy. Good curveball and a good change. It really fades away to left-handed hitters.
Alfredo Amezaga pinch hitting here to lead off the ninth. It's Amezaga, then top of the orders. The Marlins try to climb out of a 4-run hole, and if Madsen does stumble, you've got Lidge right around the corner. As Tommy mentioned, Madsen was 1-0 with a 2.13 ERA in the postseason.
There's that changeup. Yeah, not only did he do a good job all year, he did a good job in postseason too.
Clay Condrey stands to win this ball game for the Phillies. Amezaga fights that fastball off. Bruntlett drops it.
Well, just get into the game as a defensive guy. Remember, Bruntlett came in, pinch hit, gets a tough play off the heel of his glove as he was coming onto that rolled up tarp.
So Amezaga gets a break. It's up. And the count's full 3-2. 7 runs in the ninth. Alfredo hanging tough. The Mets 4-1 over the Nationals in the ninth in New York. And Amezaга's aboard.
Good AB by Alfredo.
Marlins need about 3 or 4 more of these. There's Bonifacio. He's walked twice. He's struck out twice. Generous strike, and it's 0-1. Marlins would love to get Ramirez, Ugla to the plate with a chance to tie it. That most certainly would not be against Madsen. You would expect if Madsen were to load the bases that we'd see Lidge, because Lidge was up and ready to go.
I tell you, if Bonifacio reaches, you'll see Lidge get up.
2-2. Mezica's at first. Bonifacio goes after an eye-high fastball. And that is a pitch he will continue to see until he stops swinging at it.
He's a little more patient when he gets that pitch early in the count, but when he has 2 strikes on him, it's a hard one to lay off.
Here's Baker now. Baker 1 for 4. Myers went 6. Clay Condrey 2 scoreless. Oh, and 2. Ball's in the dirt. The Mets bullpen is wobbling right now. Jesus Flores just hit a 2-run homer, and it's 4-3 Mets with nobody out in the 9th against the Nationals. Here, the Marlins bullpen imploded. Baker chasing a fastball. And it's not just Bonifacio that is unable to lay off the high heat. Here is Hanley. Has doubled in 4 ABs. And the count is 2-0. Gload is on deck, and then Ugla. Two-one.
Hanley trying to make Madsen throw a strike.
He gets one, and he jumps on it. Into the corner it goes. Ameziga to third. Hanley's at second. Here comes Glow.
Yeah, he did get one. A little hanging breaking pitch, a slider. Toward the middle of the plate. See the difference in Hanley running that time?
As expected, Lidge is up. Gload is not the tying run, but he's darn close. That would be Ugla, who's on deck. Glow takes high. It's 1-0.
Got a good guy up there to make Madsen throw strikes.
Two and 0. Lidge is ready. Meziga and Ramirez. Two and 1. Ryan Madsen trying to shut it down for the Phillies. There's the changeup. And it's 2-2.
That's such a tough pitch. If you haven't seen a lot of Madsen, you think fastball because he's got good arm action with the change.
Got him. Struck him out.
And then goes upstairs with 97.
The Philadelphia Phillies down 3-0 in the 9th inning, put 7 on the board and win this ball game going away. The Marlins an opportunity to set the tone for this weekend series, and it leaves on the bat of Shane Victorino. A grand slam by Victorino, the big blow in this one, and the Phillies get game 1. 7-3 the final. Marlins Live is next.